everybody, good morning. I just realized I need to clean this, the top of my daggone car. Cause goodness, this thing is filthy. Anyway, so one of you left me a message with Pastor Jenkins message about wearing a wedding band because it's in the Bible where it does not mention anything about a wedding ring or wedding band. If you ask me, I think yes, it is good that you do wear your wedding band. Do you have to? Does it mean that if you don't wear your wedding band then you're not married? No. But I will say this on experience. When I was in my early 20s, and even me and my crew, if we out there and you find a guy attractive or you're searching for Mr. Right, the first thing you're gonna look at is he married? Just not even asking any questions, is looking at that hand, is he married? And once you see that wedding ring, it's basically like stay away. It's basically like stay away. So is it good to wear your wedding band? Of course. Of course. Some people say, well, that doesn't mean anything. Well, I'm gonna tell you personally, when I didn't have my wedding ring on, I got a lot of folks that was hollering at me. They was like, hey, how's it going? Can I get your number? You know how they do. And then when you say, no, I'm okay, they still are persistent. But once I showed that wedding ring, bam, it was like, that one guy, he was like, oh, like, he he looked afraid, like, I'm sorry, okay, all right, have a nice day, ma'am. I said, dang. Ever since I've had my wedding band on, I haven't had anybody trying to holler at me. I haven't had anyone trying to make passes at me. When my wedding ring was off, I did get a lot of folks that was just like, how you doing? Can I get your number? Now, I have had people say, how long have you had that issue with my wedding band on? Trying to be sarcastic. But I definitely believe, because one of you ladies said, well, how do you tell men that keep trying to contact you or holler at you that you're still married? Like, what do you do if your husband is not there? And I said the best way to do it, one of the best ways, is to put on your wedding band. So I understand some point of views of preachers that are just like, no, the wedding band doesn't mean nothing, because it does not. You got adultery folks that are wearing wedding bands. You get what I'm saying? You got a woman that's literally committing adultery with a wedding band on, and she's trying to symbolize to the world that she's not available because she has this wedding ring on, because she knows what that wedding ring represents. Y'all, I have to get me some gas. Hold on, you guys. So, yeah, I definitely wear mines too. I definitely wear my wedding band because I don't care what anybody say. Like, I know back in the day when we were out there at the club or wherever we went, if we saw that wedding band, you could see that wedding band from a mile away. As soon as it hit you, bling, and stay away. Now, the Bible does mention, and I have to pull up the scripture, the Bible does mention when our fathers have put a barrier, basically telling you not to go past this certain thing, like not to. I'm gonna use it for example, King's Tut old tomb or whatever. There was a marking on that grave that basically will let you know that who will so go through this will be accursed. And believe it or not, years later when people was digging up that grave, guess what happened? Them people end up dying. They say, yeah, that's because it was some type of fungus, but bottom line, it was a barrier not to go through it. And that wedding band represents that barrier. Now, you have some folks that are married and they choose not to wear their wedding bands. Okay, that's your choice. But if you are married and you have your wedding band on, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no conviction of you not having this wedding ring on, because like I said, everybody knew. You didn't have to have a preacher to tell you that when you see a man who has a wedding band on, oh, he married. He married. And that was for the single folks to stay away from it. That means that he's committed to a wife, not a girlfriend, but a wife. You get what I'm saying? And when you saw that, it's just like, oh, hold on, y'all. I need to get some gas. Hold on. Yeah, so I personally wear my wedding band. I wear my wedding band because, number one, I don't get approached, because when men see my wedding band on, they basically say, they assume, okay, she's married. So they don't even, so bottom line, if they're out here searching for a wife, a single woman, and someone who's eligible, the first thing a man is not going to look for is a woman with a wedding band on. That's number one. And another thing too, yeah, so is it okay to wear your wedding band? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if you lose your wedding band, or does it mean, no, it doesn't mean anything, but you'll start to notice that you may be more approachable. You may see men or women coming up on you like, hey, how's it going? Because the first thing they're looking at is you don't have a wedding band on. So they're assuming that you are taken. They're assuming that you're not married. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. When I first was dealing with my walk, especially when the Lord was revealing to me, you know, that I'm still bound to my husband. I remember when I didn't have my wedding band on, and a man had asked me this question. He said, "Are you married?" I said, yes. And then I looked at him. He didn't have a wedding band on, and I said, "Are you married?" He said, "No." And then I said, "Have you ever been married?" He said, "Yes." Like, he smiled. And then I said, "Is she still living?" He said, "Yes." And he was smiling. And I said, "Ha ha, you're still married." And he just started cracking up laughing. So nowadays, the wedding band, it does represent that you are married. But because of all of this adultery and stuff like that that's going on, you got to ask these questions. Even, I mean, how can I say, even to a woman who's wearing a wedding band, if a man asked her, okay, you married? Yes, you see the wedding band. Has he ever been married before you? Yeah. Well, then, have you ever been married before him? No. Well, then that's not your husband. See, it's like, you know, some people, the way it's going right now, that you have people who are putting on a wedding band who should not have on a wedding band, if you understand what I'm saying. But that wedding band is a representation of a barrier not to go past. It's just like you see, you may go to an unmarked gravesite and you see a tombstone there, and you know it's a body at the bottom of it, right? Do you have to have a tombstone? Do you have to have something written on your grave? No, you do not, because the body goes back to the earth and will turn into the dirt. Do you have to have that? No. But when you do have something like that, that's letting people know there's a body that's down there. There's a deceased, someone who used to walk and roam the earth in the flesh is no longer here. So when you wear your wedding band is a representation that you are married. That's all it is a representation of you are married. And so I found that when I don't have my wedding band on, people will approach you. And I've all about that, y'all. I'm trying to boogie on to work. But what was I saying? Oh, I've also noticed too, when I have my wedding ring on, I see people's eyes. The first they look at me, and then they look down at my ring, and then they look otherwhere. It's like they're analyzing me. But when you see that ring, you're just like, okay. I noticed too that even if I'm talking to a couple, a woman doesn't feel threatened because I noticed she looked at my ring too. You saying some women seem very, very comfortable too. So I've noticed that. Do I need to have my wedding band on? I'm doing it because it's a representation that I am still married. I don't want to have to do with that. When we're dealing in a world of temptation all over the daggone place, and I've asked the Lord to lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil, I'm putting up all types of barriers, okay? I'm putting bricks, steel, all of that, including my wedding ring, to let it be known that I'm not available. I don't get no one approaching me. Matter of fact, and I'm not going to lie, since I've had my wedding band on, I haven't had anybody approach me. And that's a good thing. I haven't had anybody. I get yes ma'am or Mrs. whatever, but I haven't had anybody approach me. And I'm fine with that. I don't, you know what I mean? Some of you women out there who don't have your wedding band, but how do you keep telling these men that, look, I can't be with you because I'm one flesh with my husband, even though he's abandoned me? You definitely don't want to put that out, because you got a lot of men that be like, oh, you single, so he not even with you? Wait a minute, so y'all really got your papers? Especially for you got unbelieving men out there who's just like, if the court say you divorced, you divorced. And they will still continue on approaching you, and you don't want to give off false hope. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to give those signals off. So that's why I put my wedding band on, because when I put my wedding band on, it alleviates all types of issues. It alleviates that. And then I also see too, and I noticed that there's a lot of people, and women included, that respect the simple fact that I have my wedding band on. They don't even ask me questions. They don't say, Mona, you've been around us for a couple of years, you got your wedding band on, but we never see your husband. What's up with that? They just respect the simple fact that she has a wedding band on. She carries herself accordingly. You don't hear her talk about any other man. You know what I mean? She may reference back to her and her husband, but you just don't hear that. But she wears that wedding band. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not trying to say that it is one of those things that you have to wear, but in your walk, especially when you're dealing with all of this crazy stuff out here and temptation, put on that wedding band. You're gonna notice that you're not going to get that attention like a single woman would. Plus, I feel like this too. I got a lot of sisters out there that are still looking for a husband, and you got the husband out there, or the man who's trying to look for a wife. Let him overpass me and find his wife. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? I'm one of those people that wouldn't even be on the list to even look at, because you said, oh, she got a wedding band on. I know when I was in the dating world and in the dating scene out there looking for Mr. Right, oh, if he had a wedding band on, that was no haps. No happening. Me and my whole crew, the single women, if he had a wedding band on, no. Run like you can't. Like, you gotta say, feet don't fail me now. If he had a wedding band on. So to approach someone and find out, well, he married, but he don't got no wedding band on. It's kind of like, You know, some people are like, oh, I don't have to have a wedding band. I'm like, yeah, okay. I just feel like some men, you're giving out false signals here. You know what I mean? And it is true. A wedding band does not mean that, oh, you got your wedding band on, so that means that you're not married because you don't have a wedding band on. You're one flesh. But that wedding band is a representation that you married. It's just like the women in India. They got that red dot in the middle of their forehead, and it's letting them be known that they're married. That's their symbol, and that's their way of saying, I'm tooken. Do you have to have that on? You do not. But you may find that a lot of people are going to approach you just the mere fact that you look like you available. So that's the reason why I keep my wedding band on. I keep my wedding band, and another thing, maybe because I got used to having the wedding band on, but I do notice that when my wedding band is off, my finger feels really, really funny. It feels extremely funny. So I just keep my wedding band on. When my wedding band was off, when my husband first dragged me all through court and everything, and I put my wedding band to the side, like I said, I was being approached more. And you don't want to keep telling people, like, look, I'm married, but my husband's not with me. I'm married, but I'm put away. You don't even want to go through all of that, because like I said, you know, I tell y'all the business, you know what I mean? But you don't want to go through that, because then you got unbelievers out here that are really like, man, whatever, that mean you available. I know some men folks that still be like, well, you know, I mean, they're younger than me, like, you know, little brothers. But they'll be like, nah, that's just what you believe, Mona. That's just your religion. I'm like, please, let me tell you something. When you walk down that aisle, it's permanent. Like, I have to explain it, but they respect the simple fact that she doing it, and she's still honoring her marriage. And in season, out of season, whether I got my wedding band on or not, but me personally, I put my wedding band on so I don't have to deal with people constantly asking me, are you available? How are you doing? Is there any way that I can, you know, I see women now, and I'm talking about these women are in their late 40s, still on a dating scene, married, but end up getting into a second marriage, divorce, and you still out there trying to look for Mr. Right, and you're never going to find it because you're one flesh with your husband. And they're frustrated. I had one lady tell me yesterday, that her sister left her husband. They've been married, I think, for over 20 some odd years, and she went out there in that dating world, and she went back, but her husband's not trying to let her back. And I'm like, he gonna get on trouble for that too. Two wrongs don't make it right. But she jumped over the fence and realized, oh my goodness, I got to get back. That's because you're not supposed to be in that dating pool. You're not even supposed to be looking like you eligible. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're supposed to be, you know, when you said to death do us part, you're supposed to keep your end of the bargain and keep it moving. You got a lot of women out there, they want to act like they're single, but the truth of the matter is that they're still bound to their husbands. And so you have a lot of single women out there, and I got cousins that will tell you they have to ask these men these questions. The men are always asking, why are you single? Why, you know, what's going on? You're a good woman. And then they ask them the questions, have you ever been married before? Oh, yes. And see, it turns them completely off, because as believers in Christ, they know not to touch a married man, regardless if he has a ring on or not. But it would have, how can I say, it would have deviated the whole situation if he had a ring on and you saw it. You wouldn't even hollered at it. You wouldn't even looked at it. You would have been like, But you went ahead and exchanged numbers. You went ahead and had great conversation. And then the personal stuff starts. Have you ever been married before? You know, me and my wife, we went through some things. Oh, man, what was the whole purpose of me giving you my number if you already want flesh with somebody else? And a lot of women are getting frustrated with that, because they looking at something like, I choose him. And then as soon as you be like, he's already with somebody else. So you have a lot of married men that don't want to look like they're married. So they choose not to even wear that wedding band. And some of them don't wear it and they still cheating. I remember where I used to work at, there was a guy, and he was very cool, but one thing he was not faithful to his wife at all. He was not faithful to his wife at all. And matter of fact, that second woman technically wasn't even his wife anyway. But he would date a woman, a younger woman, and he would say like how she would buy him all of these things, and she knew that he was married. She didn't care. She didn't care. So personally, should you wear your wedding ring? Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You know, if you're going through a construction site and there's a barrier with that big old orange triangle that says warning or danger, that's letting you know, don't go past it, because some things gonna go down and it's gonna be your life. You know how we have certain symbols, you know, like the stop sign that says stop on it. You know what I mean? It's not in the Bible that says, oh, you gotta put a stop sign wherever. But we know what it is, right? We know that that means stop. So when you see a wedding band on a woman, you know that she's married. You know she is married. When you see a wedding band on a man, you know he is married. That's not even 2 + 2 is 4. That's not even difficult to see. And personally, if I was back in my 20s and I'm looking for Mr. Right, when Mr. Right is supposed to be looking for me, because the man who findeth the wife findeth the good thing and obtains favor from God. But I wouldn't want to be around a bunch of men that you ain't got no wedding ring on you. I mean, come on now, like you're giving false hope here. you're giving, you know. But going back to biblically, it's honestly one flesh. That body, that wife has power over her husband. The husband has power over the wife. You know, you don't necessarily need a ring to say otherwise, but the ring is a symbol that you are married. And you have a lot of people that's abusing that by saying, I'm married too. No, you're not. You got women ain't never walked down the aisle before putting on rocks or engagement rings because they like diamonds. You know, and they put it on the ring finger because they like how it shines. But I'm sure they'll start to notice too that a lot of men are not going to look at you or holler at you because the first thing they see is that you're married. They're not going to say, oh, that wedding band don't mean nothing. Unless you just really just like, you don't care. But once they see that wedding band on your hand, it's just like, you know, the first thing that's going to go through their mind is, oh, this is a married person. Unless you say, no, I'm not married. I just like to wear wedding rings. You giving out false signals here. And you wonder why nobody's approaching you because you making it look like you are married. But those of us who are married and wear a wedding band, there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, I believe it should be, especially in this day and time. And remember, and I'm going to pull up this scripture. I'll most likely post it at the end of this video. What the Bible talks about our forefathers that put up a barrier, and the bottom line is a warning not to pass certain things. I believe that wedding ring represents that barrier. Do not touch this woman, for she's married. You know, I know biblically, who is it? Sarah. I don't believe Sarah had a wedding band on because her husband Abraham went ahead and lied and was like, you got to tell him that you my sister. So evidently she didn't have anything to look like she was married, but she was with her husband at the time. And see, the Bible clearly tells you not to depart from your wife. Like, don't leave each other unless it's a season of praying and fasting, and to come back, because you don't want the enemy to tempt you with the separation. But do I believe you should wear your wedding band? Absolutely. Absolutely. Come on now, we living in look at the days we living in. Like, look at where we're living in right now. If you just became a bride, you just got married, and the rest of your girlfriends, they ain't never been married before, and y'all all go out to tea and you don't have a wedding ring on, and there's a group of gentlemen that's trying to holler, how they going to realize that you're married unless you say, I am married? You don't want anyone to approach you all the time. So you wear your wedding band. And I said personally, I know back in the day when I was out there, the first thing we looked at is them daggone fingers. Is there a ring on it? Because majority of the time when you out there dating, you looking for Mr. Right. You really, I know me personally, I was looking for the man I was going to marry. Okay? And I know the Bible says a man who findeth a wife, and women shouldn't be looking, but there are a lot of women who desire to be married and have children. And so when a man is trying to holler at you, the first thing you look at is, do we got a wedding band on? Because you got some trifling men out here that will holler at you with their wedding band on and be like, so I'm married, what that got to do with you? I know women, I'm talking about beautiful, eligible women, headstrong, and they're complaining because these married men are trying to holler at them and have no shame. Have no shame. And they really wish they never gave their information out because they assumed he didn't have a wedding band on, so he's not married. Now you got to ask them questions now. I'm not in the pool of single eligible women, so I'm not going to be out there in the single spots. I'm not going to be out there without my wedding band on because I don't want nobody to approach me. But she is eligible. She is eligible. So if a man is searching for a wife and he sees the ring on my finger, he wouldn't even look at me twice. He wouldn't even look at me. So, go on. Well, so do I say put your wedding band on? Absolutely. Absolutely. If I lost my wedding band or decide to put another ring on there, I put my wedding band on it. That's the you got some people who lost their wedding bands from years ago. Okay, you got some people that replaced their wedding band, and you got some people who don't wear their wedding band. Okay, I know that when I was dealing with certain things and I didn't have my ring on, I got a lot of people that was approaching me, and so to eliminate that and to eliminate discussing my current situation, I just put my wedding band on. I put my wedding ring on, and it's been a while since somebody even said, how you doing? It's been a while since somebody said, excuse me, ma'am. Now, I have had men say, your husband need to know he's a lucky man. And I'll be like, I'll let him know you said that. You know, in a respectable way. But yeah, so some, you have some preachers that say you need a wedding band. It's not that serious. It's not that serious. But if you're out there and you just like the young lady said, like, how do you tell men that you're just not available because you're still married even though your husband left, and you sit up there like, no, thank you, no, I'm okay. Put the wedding ring on and see what happens. Put the wedding band on and see what happens. I told you that guy, when he kept saying, look, just give me your number, come on. Soon as I showed him my ring, you thought a bullet went flying past. He was like, oh, sorry, man. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. That's just like with the women. You see that ring on that man. No. Sorry about that, sir. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, sir. You got a wedding ring on. That ain't nothing new. Back in the day, you had women talking like, girl, he married. You see that wedding ring right there? You ain't got to, because Jesus talks about, if you look upon another man and you lusting after him, like, hello, doctor, you lusting and you've already committed in your heart. Once you see that ring, man, you're not even giving that no second thought. Not that you're not supposed to be lusting after no man anyway, but you get what I'm saying. That's not even giving you room for imagination of walking down the aisle with this dude because he's already one flesh with somebody else. So yes, you wear your wedding band. Now, you got a lot of people, and I've said this before, that are committing adultery with their fake wedding dresses and these wedding bands that try to make them look like they're married too. But in actuality, they're committing adultery. So I'm talking about real married folks. I'm not talking about adultery people. Adultery people shouldn't even have no wedding band on. I don't even know why you even parading it around. Because, like I've said, an example before, you got men out here who you already won flush with somebody, and you went ahead and married somebody else, but she's still eligible to be married to somebody because she's not one flush with you. Men don't like to hear that. What do you mean she can get married but I can't? You still got a living wife. Sorry, you guys. And it's not a sin if you have your wedding band on. The sin is if you commit an adultery. And you have some women out here, they like to put out like they are eligible. You gotta tone it all the way down. You gotta literally like represent, act like you look like a wife. Don't be sitting up here acting like you single. Sorry, y'all. I don't understand. Why is it that people drive so? Why is it that people in the rain too? They're never 2 to 3 cars behind you. They always got to be like up on your bumper. I'm trying to figure out how all these young people get their license because they just feel like they in NASCAR just racing all over the world. Showing all the way off. Like this person, you putting on your horn, but you're the one that's like up on me. Sorry, you guys. Sorry. Like, where you going? Nowhere. To the stop sign. To the light. Yeah. So definitely, I would say yes. Put your wedding band on. I had to kind of like ask myself, but ever since I've had my wedding band on, I haven't dealt with any of explanations. And I'm trying to tell you, I know sometimes my next door neighbors be wondering like, she gotta be married because she got her wedding band on. But I see her out there doing all that yard work. But she got a wedding band on. And they don't even question it because people respect the simple fact, okay, she's married. But anywho, so yeah, I would definitely go ahead and that's right, wear your wedding ring. The only signal you're putting out is the stop signal that tells everyone you're not available. Exactly. I'm trying to tell y'all, if y'all would have seen, as soon as I showed my wedding band, that guy was like, "Oh, I apologize." I was like, "Dang, he even apologized." He was like, "Oh," he backed off, like, I didn't even have to say nothing. Once you see that wedding band, you don't even have to say. Once you see you can see, back in the day, you would see a fine man, like, goodness, he is fine. You look at that ring, he's married. Next. You know what I'm saying? You're not even thinking. See, an adulterous woman be like, that's okay. That's okay. But a upright woman, a virtuous woman, it'd be like, man, he married. Next, you're not even looking at that. That's somebody else's one flesh. What you gonna do with that? Nah. He already walked down the aisle. He's already won with somebody else. That's why people who, if you're, and like I said, there are plenty of women out there who are still desiring to have a husband, and there are plenty of men out there who have never been married before. They're seeking a wife. You don't want to put it out there like, hey everybody, hey world, I'm eligible. You know what I mean? No, you need to give them a chance for them to have they're one flesh union and have children and be fruitful and multiply. You don't just be putting it out there. I'm single too. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's why I keep my wedding band on. So people say you don't necessarily have one. Tell that to the jokers that keep trying to holler at an attractive woman because they think that she's not married. And you're like, you don't need to have no wedding band. Once you put the wedding band back on, regardless if her husband is there or not, she's not dealing with that. And neither is it giving false hope for somebody who thinks that this woman could be the one. Let's make it easy for the body of Christ, okay? Let's make it easy for our brothers to find their wives, our sisters to not have to feel like they're competing against married folk. You get what I'm saying? Like, I even feel for my family members that are literally, they're desiring to want to be married, but they're coming across men who are literally like, you know, they seem good, everything seemed fine, but you ask this question and it's just like, oh yeah, I've been married before. But if they would have known by looking that he had a wedding band on, they would have never even went there. So nowadays you gotta ask the man now, have you ever been married before? And now that I wear my wedding band, nobody answers me. Nobody asked that question anymore. I remember when my husband first came in the house and his wedding band was gone. I don't know what he did with it. I was like, where's your wedding ring at? And I don't even know where he went. That's when things was going south. But either way, he didn't have his wedding band on, and I noticed that. I noticed that he didn't have it. He probably threw it in a daggone Potomac. I don't know. But does that mean that he's not married because he doesn't have his wedding band on? No. But a woman who looks at him and does not see that he has a wedding band on, she would assume that he's not married. And see, nowadays, because you have people who are all for second marriages, they realize really not. See, nowadays, let me tell you something. A real believer in Christ, a real woman that goes asking questions. Have you ever been married before? It ain't even, are you married? It's, have you ever been married before? Was that your first marriage? You know, just trying to see. Is she still living? Okay. All right. Well, good day, sir. Good day, sir. Good day. I think it's selfish, personally, that if I walk around with no ring on, I know I'm already one flesh with another man. And then I sit up here and give an eligible man false hope that he could be my husband, my real husband. Knowing daggone well he can't, because I already said I do to somebody else. It's selfish. Because number one, you're leading this person to hell. That's the major thing. Because anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. And yes, that really, that kind of sucked when I found that out. That was kind of like, wait a minute. That was like the big one. So you saying, God, that I can't. Because at one point in time, I used to blame it on my husband. The reason why, if I could commit adultery, I could just put the blame card on my husband. See what you caused me to commit adultery. Until the word says, and anyone who marries the divorced woman commits adultery. I said, what? So I would never put it out there for someone to even think. So I have to put that wedding ring on. It means that, like you said, sister, it means stop. I'm not available. I'm not available. So, and remember I was saying there's certain signage out here where, you see a stop sign, it says S-T-O-P. What does that mean? It means stop. If you see a no left turn signal, what does that mean? It means you cannot make a left turn. You see a wedding ring on somebody's finger, what does that mean? They're married. They are married. So if you're looking for love, if you're looking for someone that's eligible, that's not married, what's the first thing you're going to look at? You're going to look at their wedding band and say, okay, this person is with somebody, so I'm not going to mess with that. It's been 5 years, and ever since I've had my wedding band on, that's one thing I have not had any issues with, is somebody approaching me because they think I'm available. They don't know none of my business. They don't know that I haven't spoken to my husband in over 5 years. But the simple fact that they see a wedding band on my finger, they're just like, she's not available. They don't even look at me. And I'm not looking for them to look at me. And that's the reason why I put the wedding band on. And I think it's honestly for women who've been divorced, put away, or whatever. And if you're still getting approached by men and you have to keep saying no, 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 a wedding band is a great way to deviate that issue, to solve that issue. Try it. You know, put your wedding band on. You're not gonna have to, deal with all of that. But anyway, y'all, so I just wanted to share that because somebody had posted a link to Pastor Gino about do you have to have a wedding band when you don't have to. What he's saying is biblically correct. You don't have to. But there is a symbol about a wedding band. When you see that on a man, that's the first thing you look for is he married? You look for the wedding band. And if you don't see that, then you ask the question. If you see the wedding band and the wedding band says, yes, I'm married, that will save you from the embarrassment from asking because you already know he married. Instead of thinking, oh, this person's eligible, and as soon as you're like, oh, so are you single? No, I'm married. Now you're feeling like, dang, why didn't you just put on a daggone wedding band then? Shit. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying. So what he's saying, it is biblically correct that it's not authorized that you have to have on a wedding band. However, I'm going to post the scripture about the barrier. The word talked about our forefathers that had warned us about certain barriers not to cross. When I look at a wedding band, that is a barrier to me. Do not mess with it because this person is married. Anyway, y'all, I'm at work, so please have a blessed day today. Goodness gracious. And I'm doing great. I hope everybody else is doing good. I hope y'all have a blessed Sunday today. And I'll speak to y'all later.